It's TEDA time.
Living in Terrebonne, living in Terrebonne. You sure won't want to miss it, and I'll bet that you'll revisit living in Terrebonne.
Local Terrebonne Parish Economic News.
Hello and welcome to this edition of TEDA Time. I'm your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it as always. And we're always glad to welcome with TEDA, Cohen B. Gedry. Cohen, how are you today, my friend?
I'm good. Thank you for having me
Very
back.
Good. Glad to have you on. And somebody who's going to tell us all about the ins and outs and all the value of 4-H in our parish, Cherie Roger, or Shetty Roger.
Yeah.
Right?
Good morning.
To say it correctly. Good morning, and thanks for being here. Of course, Terrebonne Parish 4-H Youth Development and the parish chair here in Terrebonne. We have such an active 4-H program. Cohen, I don't know that it was always like that for us growing up, right?
No, it was not. We were talking about that before we came on, and it was in very few, it wasn't in all the schools
right,
the way that it is now. So
right.
I think that's a fantastic thing to give to our youth.
It just is. And so 4-H is such a big concept. I know you could talk about this for days. We're going to break it down a little bit. But 4-H, as Cohen mentioned, in every school. Correct. And very involved in a lot of our private schools as well, right?
Correct. So 4-H is available to all youth in all Terrebonne Parish public and private schools from 4th through 12th grade.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what their GPA is. I went over that yesterday at a meeting. But we do look at their character because we want them to build character, become just better citizens, so that one day they'll give back to our parish in Terrebonne Parish.
I love the idea that it's not based on what they have done or what they need to do scholastically, but whom they are as an individual, right? And what they have to offer. Mm-hmm. I think it's like the bigger picture.
Correct.
And it makes them for some well-rounded people through 4-H. And so I can tell you the people that have gotten involved in 4-H over the years, they've become that. We get to see people really start to develop into what they want to do or be, or more importantly, what they don't want to be, right?
Correct.
You know, I know several people that say, I want to be a veterinarian. I want to be a veterinarian. They got a little bit more involved in 4-H and are like, I'm going to go into medicine. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, yeah. or something very different.
Right.
Well, it's a great foundation for our younger generation, and it teaches them, it builds character on top at such a young age, and it gives them responsibility.
Right.
It gives them the things that they need to go out into the world, but they may not get it anywhere else.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So Cherie, tell us a little bit about the Ag Center, because I think people only think that that's a small option. There's so many options to the Ag Center, right?
Yes. So we have Ag Center offices in all 64 parishes, and each office is structured a little different, but in Terrebonne Parish, we have 2 4-H agents, myself and my coworker Reed Email, and then we have a horticulture agent. A lot of people know our horticulture agent, Barton Geoffrion.
Right.
He'll go out and look at lawns, look at trees, whatever horticulture problems they may have within the area. And then we have nutrition agents who go out into our community, libraries, schools, different senior centers, and educate people on different health topics. And then we also have a fisheries agent who works with our fishermen, commercial fishermen, and educating youth as well, as far as wetland education.
You know, and so very interesting because all of these things are changing. Our environment is changing so much that, you know, just think about nutrition over the years. Okay, this is healthy for you, now it's not. This is healthy for you, now it's not. And as people get older and they have all these different comorbidities and other problems, we need to make sure we figure out and giving them much more help with that. I think it's like that in all of those areas that you just mentioned, right?
Absolutely.
We're seeing problems maybe with some infestation or insects that we didn't see before.
Correct.
It's affecting some of our trees and some of our bushes and some of our plants. And so not just the freeze, right?
Correct.
Or what to do about the freeze.
Right.
There's all these different ideas about how you should cover plants and those kinds of things. It's great to have somebody like Mr. Geoffrion doing that.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And helping people in the area. So I love that this Ag Center is got so many people there. You know, and then 2 of y'all as 4-H representatives.
Right.
What are some of the things that people are coming in to learn about at the Ag Center?
In 4-H or just
In
the
general.
Ag Center? In general. So as far as horticulture, agriculture, a lot of people come to our office for soil samples.
Okay.
We have soil sample boxes that everything is there for you to take the soil sample. You take that soil sample, package it, mail it off. You'll get a report. And if you need help reading that report, Barton will help you and figure out what you need to do for whatever you want to grow, depending on what your needs are. Our fisheries agent, Haley, when you said things are changing, the shrimping industry is changing
really
dramatically.
Right.
They're having a lot of challenges that they haven't had in the past. So she's helping and working with them, helping them through those challenges.
Right.
4-H, we do everything from leadership to community service to livestock, shooting sports, cookeries, a broad variety of different things.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up shooting sports, because that's one of the things that we're going to talk about. We're going to spend some time in the next segment talking about that, because it's just one of those things I think is such a great option. It's one of those things down here where the life that we live in South Louisiana, here in Terrebonne Parish, we have options for hunting and fishing and shooting that not everybody's got. But we also do it the right way. Mm-hmm. I'm so very impressed with the education and the teaching that goes along with that. So again, the Ag Center has got so many options, got lots of different people working there. I can't wait to send my wife over so that she can decide whether she's going to grow a lime tree, a lemon tree, or a fig tree, and if you can actually do that with all of them on the same side of the yard. Again, that's just one of those things to learn. So it's an option. So we're going to come back, if you don't mind. Stick around. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right. A whole lot more TEDA time when we come back.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems, modern technology, and timeless caring. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bourke, know your rights. South Louisiana Bank, it's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough. Alford and Associates, for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of TEDA Time. Again, your host, Keith Weissite. Very glad you're joining us, however you may be joining us, with Cohen and Cherie, talking about all of these wonderful options that we have through 4-H, all of these great options through the Ag Center. But you mentioned something at the end of the last segment that I think is one of the coolest things that we have here, and that's some of our shooting sports. Tell us about how this kind of came to be and all of the options that we have to do that.
So we started the Terrebonne Shooting Sports program about 14 years ago. Wow. We offer rifle, shotgun, and archery. It's part of the Louisiana Shooting Sports program, but also part of the National Shooting Sports program in 4-H. A lot of people don't realize that it goes that far up to nationals.
Wow.
Or we use volunteers for our coaches. So
Okay.
a lot of parents, community help to coach shotgun, archery, and rifle. And the kids learn respect for those firearms. Mm-hmm. They have safety protocols. They have certain safety things that you may not even do in a hunter safety class or just hunting, that we want to make sure they follow to keep them safe and everyone else safe. So they're learning that respect, teamwork.
Mm-hmm. And so a lot of elevated perspective on
Yes.
safety.
Yes.
Again, because I think if the average person goes, oh my gosh, they're teaching archery, rifle, and shotgun. Well, they're doing education, safety, training, and respect for these guns.
Correct.
I mean, you see it all the time where that's got to be the starting point. Mm-hmm. But we've got options here, again, in South Louisiana for those particular concepts to be explored.
Right.
And I think about myself, and I'll just tell you why I thought about this the other day. I don't know. One of my dear friends, Jason Bergeron, not our parish president, one of the other 4 or 5 that we have in the parish, but Jason, growing up, all went to South Terrebonne and Dale Prospery. We went hunting just in the field right behind Jason's house. It was the first time I shot a shotgun, and I don't think they knew that. And had they known that, they probably wouldn't have let me go. But I asked enough questions. I was smart enough to know how dumb I was. And very often, and I'm not saying anybody has got lack of training, but a lot of times these kids, they know about hunting, but maybe they don't know about all the safety measures that need to be taking place.
Look, educating anybody on a subject is way more important than just, they'll figure it out.
Right. Yeah. This is not grace by fire, right?
No.
Yeah. Firing. Grace by firing. We don't want that. But being able to educate them, and I love that, and it will last a lifetime.
Well, I will say this, with the games that are out today, and most of these kids are gamers.
Yep.
I really believe that somewhere in their brain that they think, I'll just hit reset and they'll come back to life. You look, this is a fantastic program to teach them the basic fundamentals that when they pick up a weapon, the first thing they do is make sure it's not loaded, because that's paramount.
Rule 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's muscle memory. It comes back to them, and it's instinctive to them to do.
Right. Exactly. And again, we're teaching these kids about respecting the gun, respecting life, and we're teaching them about respecting nature, right? Correct. What we can or can't do.
Right.
There's a reason why there's bow season, and then there's active season for hunting.
Right.
Right. And knowing those things. And so teaching them about this culture through 4-H is just fantastic. Right.
I know I mentioned earlier that our local program is part of the national program,
Right.
but I did want to recognize that we had several 4-Hers make it to nationals, and that's a big accomplishment in Grand Island, Nebraska.
Okay. That's a big deal.
Cole Adams in two summers ago, and Cal and Cater Wilson, Ian Duplantis, shotgun and archery kids we had make it to national. So that's a big deal. And I was able to go one year and to be there and see just the opening ceremony and see how the kids were competing against each other, but also helping each other was very humbling.
The respect factor. We'll talk about it. Go ahead, Cohen. Share your thought.
Just hearing that, to be able to go outside of, we barely had these programs growing up. And I know you and I, it was a year or two that we grew up.
Yeah,
but
just a bit.
There was, it might have gone to Lafayette, New Orleans. I never heard of something from a program like this going to Nebraska, another state. I mean, that is phenomenal. Not to mention, when we were growing up, how many people we know that never got out of the state of Louisiana or never flew on an airplane?
Right.
So this is great.
And so it's giving these kids such a great idea of what you can do, what you can be. I love the idea that you brought up about not only respecting guns, respecting hunting and shooting, respecting each other. To go out into a competition and see each other help, to me, building character. You started with that.
Yes.
You started with that's what 4-H does. But I love the fact that you're helping somebody who's your competition. And very often we bipolarize that and we make them the enemy, if you will. And that's kind of that sporting analogy. Oh, you can't be friends with them, they're the enemy. One of the greatest things I ever see is when somebody makes a really hard tackle in football, and then the person that makes the tackle helps that person up, or vice versa. That's what it seems like to me is what we're doing. And the Ag Center and the shooting sports and all of these wonderful things that we have. And now we have the option to really kind of look at the big picture about what we have in our different cultures, what we have in different parishes, to even take a look at how we're helping each other. And here in the future, we're going to have to do that with some of the changes that we have, and kind of leading into what we're going to talk about with some of our arenas. And so I appreciate y'all sticking around to do that. So Cohen, thank you. Shuri, thank you. And thanks to all those people that work hard in 4-H to make it a difference for our kids, volunteers and others. And we'll be right back with a whole lot more TEDA time. Don't go anywhere.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Parabon General Health Systems, modern technology, and timeless caring. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights. South Louisiana Bank, it's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough. Alford and Associates, for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of TEDA Time. Again, your host, Keith Whiteside, joined by Cohen and Cherie, talking about 4-H and all of the value that comes with that. We're talking a little bit about the experiences that some of these kids get, and that, you know, Cohen and I never really knew anybody that never went beyond just our region. But y'all had a pretty interesting experience, not just with Nebraska, but tell us about the trip to Denver.
So every summer, our 8th through 12th graders can compete in 4-H University in different contests.
Okay.
And if they win on the state level, they might win an awards trip, or they might win a trip to compete on the national level. And we had our consumer decision-making team that won state.
Oh, wow.
And represented Louisiana last January in Denver, Colorado. And for most of them, it was the first time they flew, saw snow for the first time. So it was a great experience. They placed well. It was the first time Louisiana sent someone in consumer decision making. So they placed for the first time. We had lots of great first experiences. So as a lot of our high school 4-Hers don't realize all the opportunities
right,
that they have.
So define for me what the program they went in. Consumer
Decision making. So
okay.
Life skills.
Oh, wow.
Life skills 100%. They are given a scenario of buying something,
Okay.
let's say microwaves,
Okay.
for a dorm room, and they have certain criteria that item should have, and they're given 4 choices, and they have to rank the choices best to worst and give reasons why. And that's
Talk about life skills down the road, right? Imagine somebody in 4-H who learns that at 8th or 9th grade, when it's time for them as a senior to move into wherever they go to school, and they get to go, hey, no, Mom, we're not getting that one. That would be my 4th choice. This would be my first choice. And why? Talk about the response of a parent realizing that, right?
Sometimes
I would love for my son to have told me that.
Absolutely. Sometimes we have very bad days, but on good days, you'll get a text message from a former 4-Her who's in college saying, Miss Cherie, my consumer decision-making skills came into play right now. Thank you so much. I made this decision, and, you know, it brightens up your day. So when you get texts like that or phone calls like that, it makes a difference.
And I got to tell you, never in my wildest dreams did I think that was one of the things that these kids are learning and applying.
Right.
It's not just the learning of it, it's application.
Absolutely.
You know, I think about going through the School of Psychology and the School of Social Work and the School of Sociology, all of those degrees. And I wonder about how I've helped other people do certain things and understand situations and get them out of their phone and talking to people and looking at people. But these are some real applicable skills. That's just cool. We're also doing that with regards to our arenas. Let's talk a little bit about how things have changed some with these ag arenas.
Well, hopefully, in a few years, I don't know.
Right, in the near future?
Sometime in the near future, we're going to get a covered arena built in Terrebonne Parish.
Wow.
Off of Val High, I'm being told.
That's what I've been told as well.
And hopefully, possibly, our Ag Center office will accompany a building,
Oh, wow.
there as well. That's
Okay,
what
an
we're doing.
adjoining ag center there as well.
Yes.
One great
One-
place for
yes.
everybody. But I know that we've kind of used the one on the east side.
Absolutely.
And it's been very busy. And then there was one that we had over in Lafourche, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now that we've kind of lost that one, right? We lost that one to the storm.
So yes, the arena on the east side has not been able to be used since the storm. So we hope that that's going to
Be a viable option here soon, right?
absolutely. The one in Lafourche is being torn down right now because they're building a new arena. So we kind of need something for our horse people, our
Right.
livestock people
Yeah.
to do stuff.
Yeah.
When we would hold rodeos on the east side at the Terrebonne Livestock Arena, the last rodeo we held there, at least 2,000 people was
Isn't
there.
that amazing?
Yeah, yeah.
To
Walk
get-
into Cavender's today and see that the agricultural world is a buzz right now. Everybody wants to do it, so everybody wants to go.
Right.
I know we were not able to come to the the Bull Bash thing,
Right, right.
but a lot of people like that now.
Did very well, by
Yeah.
the way, over at the Civic Center.
Yes,
And so
yes.
I think you're exactly right. We're starting to reinvest not only in our resources in our community and here in Terrebonne, but what y'all are doing through 4-H, but also that's one of those exciting things. How many people do you know that raise their own eggs and have chickens, right, in their backyard, and just all of these different things? And so that's just, it's kind of a focus to get back to a very more naturalistic way of doing things. Speaking of consumer, that's an interesting perspective as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know, we hadn't bought eggs in 3 years, you know, we got
Right.
12 chickens at home.
Right. We've seen that trend. A lot of people coming into the office, starting vegetable gardens, raising
Right.
their own chickens now, just trying to get back to eating whole foods, doing it for themselves instead of just going into the stores and buying things.
I've got 2 first cousins and they're brothers. Each of them have chickens and each have a chicken run. Like they around their garden at home. And it's just remarkable that both Kyle and Seth have taught their children and the next generation so much about that. So 4-H is alive and well, and that's exciting. And you guys sure have so many good things. Some final thoughts.
Call your local Ag Center office if you have
Okay.
a question. If you think that we can help you with something, we probably can.
Okay.
Right now, we have our Master Gardener program going on that happens yearly. Check on the Ag Center website about that.
Wow.
But
Good stuff.
we're here to help the community.
We appreciate that. And Cohen, we appreciate it for what
Thank you
TEDA
for
does and
having
their
us,
involvement.
and I think everybody should encourage their kids to get involved. with
Get
this.
involved. 4-H is a great program.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining us.
y'all.
And that will do it for this particular edition of TEDA Time. Don't go anywhere. A lot more local programming right here on HTV.